Welcome to R or Him, where a student punched my daughter in the stomach, and I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with what they did. Wednesday was the last day of school. I picked up my daughter 6 like usual, and her teacher handed her over to me, and that was it. On the way back from the school, found my aunt walking the same direction, and we got distracted talking for the 10 minutes we walked. Home we are neighbors, and the school is across the street. When we came inside, my daughter started crying, telling me Lacey punched her in the stomach. My jaw dropped. She started telling me basically she got punched because she told another student Lacey had drawn all over her pretty picture, and she felt really bad, and when the other student confronted Lacey, she immediately went and punched my daughter in the stomach. No one from the school bothered to call me to let me know. My daughter has been having issues with this student all year, which in the beginning, didn't mind. I just thought it was teasing, and even then, every day my daughter told me something. The first thing I always asked was, "Did you tell the teacher?" A month ago, stepped in the front office so my daughter could get a late pass, and 5 minutes after she was already in class, I was still in the office asking something, and my daughter's teacher called for backup in her classroom. Lacey punched my daughter in the eye. I didn't find out till the afternoon when I had picked her up already. The next day in pickup, I talked to her teacher to make sure she was aware. She kept telling me that my daughter wanted to be friends with Lacey, but my daughter says they stopped being friends long time ago cause she was always hitting her. I myself have 2 boys with autism, and one of them can be mean at times. But I'm just upset of why these teachers are not calling the parents, or doing more to remove her from the classroom or something. I know the school year is over, but I'm honestly really upset. I'm thinking of moving her. Am I acting irrational? I really need advice. My daughter says she had the air punched out of her, that she thought she was gonna die because she couldn't breathe. Edit. First of all, wow, so many comments. I did not expect this, so thank you so much for all the good advice. For the people who are assuming about my character, I'll pray for you. That's all I'll say about that. Second, I'm seeing a lot of comments about how I failed my daughter. If I did, only her and God knows, and if I did, I hope she forgives me one day. I am 23 and I have 3 kids I need to worry about who are autistic. My kids and I have open communication, and we all go to our own individual therapy. I always asked my daughter questions before proceeding with what to do next. At the beginning of the year, my daughter was adamant that Lacey was her friend. I always told her if someone is hurting you or saying mean things, those are not your friends. She was picked on by other students, and when I would pick her up from school and she would tell me, I always asked, "Do you want me to go talk to your teacher?" She always said no until eventually she started saying yes. So that's when I went and spoke to her teacher. Her teacher told me that they liked being together, and that if I wanted, she could try her best to keep them apart. At the end of the day, she's a kid, and I understand if she has behavioral issues because one of my sons can be a little hectic sometimes, and I know in public people can judge. So I try not to do that to other kids. So I told her teacher to just keep an eye out, and we left it at that. With the eye incident, I don't really have an explanation, only that I didn't want to act crazy on public property, because then I wouldn't have fixed anything. My daughter told me she was okay, and that to her it was an accident, so I told her I did not want her being friends with Lacey anymore. Lacey left my daughter alone until this incident happened. Moving her was always an option, but she did not like the idea, and I just wanted to respect that. I'm mostly upset because last year had an incident where a teacher hurt my oldest son, and my son reacted and bit her. They called me to pick him up, and from then, they started the process immediately to start moving him, because they didn't have the proper programs or teachers for him. So why are they not doing this with her? From what the administration told me, she does this to a lot of students, and all they do is call her mom, but not the parents of the students she's hurt. That's why I was asking for advice. I thought I was wrong for thinking this way, that they didn't or haven't done enough. All they told me was they understood me and they would do better, but I'm just not convinced. And my daughter has summer school, and I don't know if Lacey does or not. But Monday, going back to the school to make a formal complaint, since the administrator that helped me just took notes on a composition notebook, and even then I only saw her write like 2 to 3 times. Her teacher was also aware of all of this from when we spoke, and when I told the administrator, she said they didn't know anything about it, and basically tried blaming the nurse for not calling when honestly it was everyone's fault. I don't know if I'm crazy, but I'm going back Monday after reading all the comments. Thank you again, everyone, seriously. English lit teacher's fetish for Shakespeare came back to bite her in the ass. This happened back in the late 90s during my senior year in high school. My English lit teacher, Mrs. H, had this absolute fixation on Shakespeare for some reason. During the whole year, we didn't learn anything about any other English authors or poets or anything, really. Some people complained, but she had been there for so long, the school couldn't really do anything. I even saw her pic in the faculty section of my mother's yearbook from the same school, with the same Victorian-era hairdo. Also, she disliked kids and was batshit crazy. Me, having long hair and a goatee, thought goatees were cool. Stupid kid meant she hated me. On the other hand, I was slightly gifted with either natural intelligence or just super lucky. I never had to study and just knew how to absorb the right info and ace tests. I abused this and never did homework and just used quizzes and tests to pass classes. Out of all her classes, I was her nemesis. It seemed she reformatted her grading system to make sure I failed if I didn't turn in all homework assignments or get a lot of extra credit. This is where the gears in my brain shifted into high gear. Unbeknownst to her, I had been on the school stage crew since my freshman year. Anything that happened in the auditorium, assemblies, talent shows, and even after school rentals, we did that. We ran the lights, sound, and coordinated everything on stage. During that time, and with my stage crew teacher's help, I had developed some moderate skills at designing and setting up lighting plans, and he helped me get work outside of school. One of such jobs was a local troupe performing Much Ado About Nothing at the local amphitheater. Opening night arrived and me and my friend were just hanging out in the booth when his eyes bugged out while looking at the people coming in. Is that Mrs. H? I looked, and sure as shit it was her. Up to this point, I still hadn't figured out how to fight back, but now it was as clear as could be. Next day at school, start of class, I raised my hand and mentioned that I heard a Shakespeare show is playing at the amp, and could we get 20 PTS extra credit if we turned in a program with the production member's signature. She loved the idea of more people getting into her Shakespeare fetish, and immediately said yes, absolutely. I whipped a program out of my folder, circled my name and signed next to it, walked up, and set it on her desk. I still feel fear when I remember the look in her eyes. But, to her credit, I turned a program for all 3 nights, and she gave me 20 PTs for each, which was just enough to make sure I got my diploma. I don't know if she did it because she stuck to her word of if she finally found a worthy nemesis. Most likely is that she just never wanted to see me again. Evict me? Lol. My fiancé and I rent a house from her mother. If my fiancé does anything her mother doesn't like, for instance going out of town for a night for a date, her mother threatens to kick us out. You know, those abysmal people who suck the joy out of everyone who they see is having fun. Yay, she's one of those. Long story short, the last straw was when she withheld my fiancé's medicine for her chronic and life-threatening illness until rent was given to her. This was days before rent was even due. When my fiancé started getting angry, she called her a little girl and wouldn't tell her where her medicine was. She also said she will evict us over that. After receiving the medicine, I started planning petty revenge. I learned that not only is the house my fiancé and I are living in right now is in her ex-husband's name, but so is her house. Very soon she will see exactly how my fiancé and I feel right now, because she has an eviction notice on the way. Edit. My fiancé has approved all of this. Edit 2. Also, it is important to note, her father is willing to do a rent to own with us. Terms being, the houses get transferred into my fiancé's name, which makes this post all the sweeter. Edit 3. We have told the hospital to hold her medication there no matter what. Edit 4. You guys are right, I probably should have just called the police. My thought was stay quiet until I can inflict the most suffering possible. Update already. Her mother is now texting her claiming the house has 3 showings tomorrow. The doors have number entry locks, so I have a strong feeling those will be locked tomorrow. Unless you guys think it would be better to let them look at the home only to be ghosted by her mother because it's not even her home. Opinions? This is gonna get spicy earlier than we thought. Update. Guys, this is getting nuts. She just came over with 2 prospected buyers walked in the unlocked door with her. She told them that a licensed plumber and electrician installed the plumbing. My fiancé couldn't hold her tongue. Why are you lying? The potential buyers look stunned. Told her and them to get TF out of the house because we didn't have proper notice. She called me a smartass, and I told her to stfu and she left. She will be back after the potential buyers see the other home. Update. She came over asking for me by name. You don't live here, get out. I have receipts and bank statements that say otherwise. You're so disrespectful, this isn't your house, double quotes. Me again, going to sit my ass right in this house until you get me an official eviction notice with the date on it. Now get TF out.